Hi everyone, I'm Laura Dunford of Sweet Flowering Yoga and Wellness, and I would love to offer you today this chair yoga practice for grounding and for relaxation. So we can begin by preparing our space, finding a chair. Hopefully you can find one without wheels and without arms. You might like to have a blanket handy, so I have a blanket folded beneath my bum here just for comfort. But if you feel that you would be more supported by bringing a blanket underneath your feet, that can bring a little bit more length to the legs, so it's like bringing the floor up to you, the ground up to you. You may even like to have a yoga mat beneath your chair. So this can be helpful to avoid slip for when we come around to standing. But if you're barefoot, then that might not be so much of a problem. But you can pause this recording and gather up anything that you need for your practice. And then whenever you're ready, we can begin by landing in mountain pose, seated mountain pose, Tadasana. So you can take your time to land here. You might like to close down through the eyes. Perhaps you keep just a soft gaze in front of you. You could find a focal point and really diffuse your gaze. The eyes still and resting. And as you start to internalize your attention, to begin to draw your awareness inward, and just notice any movement that you'd like to find through the body for comfort and ease in this mountain pose. You might notice the ankles, the feeling of the ankles underneath the knees roughly, and the feet parallel to each other. Maybe you wiggle your toes and feeling into the toes down on the ground, the toes and the balls of the feet and around the outside edges to the heels. You might shift a little bit from side to side. In your sits bones, we bring our attention to the feeling of the sits bones rooting down into your seat, getting comfortable, feeling supported. And from all of this support, there's a feeling of rooting down to rise up nice and tall. So you're lengthening as best as you can through the torso. You might sense the shoulders just roughly floating above the hips, the ears, above the shoulders. The hands resting either on the lap. The palms might face down, so this gesture of grounding, of rooting down. You might prefer to have your arms at your sides with your shoulders drawing down and back, palms facing forward. A gesture of releasing and letting go, but also of welcoming, of opening, receiving. So taking as many little movements that you need to settle in, as many movements that you need to promote comfort in your body. And then allowing your movement to start to naturally settle into stillness. But of course, knowing that at any point that you need to shift, that you need to adjust to get a little bit more comfortable, you can do that whenever you need to. So really listening to your body And please trust through this practice that you are your own best yoga teacher. So as we're internalizing our awareness, you might just notice how the body is feeling today. What kind of sensations might be present? Are there any spaces, if you could scan through the body, are there any areas that maybe need just a little bit of extra care, a little bit of extra attention, noticing without judgment. So feeling welcome here, exactly as you are. And we can check in with the physical body. And in just the same way we can check in with the energy body. Maybe noticing what the quality of your energy is like today. Without any labels of positive or negative, just noticing if energy is feeling maybe high or low, somewhere in the middle. Nothing to change here. Checking in so that you can feel supported through this practice. Maybe there's a mood today, a tone. Noticing, feeling whatever you feel. Calling on the breath as an ally through this practice. And this time that we'll share together, we remember that the breath is just as important as the postures that we find. The pranayama, just as potent and powerful in creating comfort and shifting our state of being, as is the asanas that we explore together, the postures. So let's start to bring a little bit more attention to the breath. As you're keeping this feeling of spaciousness through the torso, we hold space for the breath to flow a little bit more deeply. So as we sit tall, we might feel the breath drawing down from the chest and maybe even toward the low ribs, toward the belly, perhaps. You might even like to bring one hand to the belly here. Can you invite a bit of movement into the abdomen with each breath in? You can feel the belly reaching out like a balloon, filling. And on the exhale, we can invite the navel to draw in toward the spine. Breathing into the belly, low ribs, chest. Breathing out to empty, to cleanse. And you might be breathing in and out through the nose. Maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth. It's whatever is the most relaxing for you. So we encourage the breath to lengthen and deepen a little bit in a rhythm, in a way that feels grounding for you, that feels soothing for your nervous system. Breathing in, filling up, relaxing outward and upward. Breathing out, relaxing downward and inward. Let's bring the hands palm to palm at the heart center in Anjali Mudra. Taking a deep breath in together. A full cleansing exhale through the mouth. Another deep breath in. And a full breath out. One more full inhale, then we'll chant the sound of Om together. Let's do that again. Deep breath in. Once more. Returning to the natural rhythm of your breath. Allowing the breath to remain steady. And feeling how this steady breath anchors you here and now in this practice. Can flutter open through the eyes, just keeping a very soft gaze. Let's take a moment to interlace the fingers. And as you interlace your fingers, we'll roll the wrists. You can draw some figure eights with the wrists. And draw them in the opposite direction. Maybe hearing a few little crackles as we lubricate the wrists here. Wonderful. And then we'll take a moment to draw either the knuckles or the palms forward. So you might reach your palms forward. You can keep your elbows bent. Maybe the knuckles reach forward. That might be feeling a little bit more comfortable for you. Staying with your breath. And then on your next inhale, let's start to lift the arms upward. So your arms might stretch up above the shoulders, but they don't have to. So you can always bring your hands to your heart, or you can just reach them to your own comfortable range of motion. So the arms might extend up above the head. Wherever you are, let's relax the shoulders down and back. And then we'll take a little bit of swaying movement from side to side. So some gentle lateral stretches, but really feeling the connection of the sits bones to the ground as you sway from side to side, or to the chair, sorry. You might start to move with your breath. You can inhale to center, exhale to stretch laterally. Maybe the arms flow a little bit. That might feel like a nice break for your shoulders too as you're drifting from side to side, swaying. And just a reminder, your hands can be at your heart while you find this movement. Let's come back to center, taking a deep breath in. And as you exhale, your arms can sweep out and down, rolling your wrists along the way. Going in either direction, a few little wrist circles until your arms land at your sides. Good, and you can find a little bit of movement for the hands. So you might shake your hands just like you're trying to flick off like a mitten off of your hand. And you can flick your fingertips like you're flicking water off of your hands now. Maybe you shake your arms. You can kind of dance the shoulders a little bit, wiggle the shoulders. And we'll start to roll the shoulders backwards. So let's start with one at a time. And the shoulders sort of swimming back. And if it feels good, you can even invite a little bit of movement into your arms. So like you're doing a little backstroke. This movement might be very subtle. or you could really exaggerate it, so it's up to you. Just honoring again your level of energy today, how the body's feeling today, supporting yourself as you need. Eventually you might roll both shoulders back together. Lovely. Let's pause with the shoulders drawing down away from the ears gently. Shoulder blades reaching toward each other behind the back. So you might imagine you're trying to stretch them toward your spine a little. And then if it's comfortable, you can sweep your arms back. So behind the hips a little bit. You might reach your arms back. Maybe this is where you stay, or you could try grabbing your chair if that's available. So you might hold the sides of your chair or the bottoms, or just stretching arms back. And you can take a little bit of an extension of the heart forward. So we can draw the heart forward as we send the shoulders down and back. You might lift the chin away from the chest a little bit here. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose, out of the mouth. Feeling yourself opening, clearing, breathing deeply in through the nose, out of the mouth. Good, let's take one more deep inhale. On this exhale, we'll start to let the chin draw down toward the chest. So just let your head be heavy. Your hands can rest at your sides or in your lap. And start to rock the head gently from side to side, like you're tracing a little half circle or a crescent moon on your chest with your chin. Slow, gentle movement. And we can take a moment to guide the head all the way over toward the right side. So like your right ear is hanging toward the right shoulder just with gravity. So let gravity do the work here. And we'll notice that just as best as we can find the alignment of shoulders over hips, we try to stay true to that. Shoulders over hips and the feeling of spaciousness through the torso. While you're here, if it feels good, you can find a few little circles with your nose. Just noticing sensation in the left side of the neck. You might draw those little circles in the opposite direction. Relaxing the facial expression. Relaxing the breath. Relaxing the mind. And we'll bring the head back down toward the chest. You might pause here and just notice the difference from side to side. Left side of the neck, left shoulder, compared to right. And take a moment then to draw your head over toward the left side. And it might be different on this side. So just know that we don't have to make it match. You can take any little adjustments that bring some comfort in here. Left ear toward left shoulder and maybe circling with your nose. Going both ways if you're circling. Beautiful. Let's come back to center, a nice tall spine. Taking a little pause here. Notice if you could visualize your spine and your body. Could you just sense the home of the spine and the body? And imagining here the breath drawing up the spine on the inhale. As if you could trace the sweep of the spine on the inhale all the way up to the base of the skull. And as you exhale, can you breathe down the length of the spine? Inhaling up the length of the spine. Exhaling, your awareness just glides down the spine. One more breath here. And on your next inhale, start to draw the heart forward, rolling the shoulders down and back, elbows drawing in toward ribs. Exhale, you can either pull your navel in toward your spine. If it's safe and comfortable to round the back, you might tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone a little bit. So we're just mindful, if we're rounding the back, we're mindful of conditions like arthritis in the spine or low bone mineral density. So we would just pull the navel in that case rather than rounding the back. Inhale, we can draw shoulders down and back. You might lift the chin gently, so a nice smooth arch in the spine. Exhale, either navel drawing in, maybe rounding the back gently. Let's keep flowing. Moving with the breath. And if you wish, you can bring your arms into this flow. So it's just an option if it feels like medicine for the shoulders and for the heart center. You might exhale, pulling navel in, rounding back perhaps. The arms may even stretch forward with the backs of the hands toward each other. So your thumbs pointing down. And then as you inhale, your arms can sweep out, palms facing forward, arms reaching back. Exhaling to your cat stretch. Backs of the hands might reach toward each other. Inhaling, arms open wide, heart opens wide. Cow stretch. Let's do that just a few more times. And at any point, you may just rest your hands down if your arms need a break, your shoulders. Good. One more time. Let's exhale into your cat stretch. Inhale into cow stretch. And we'll exhale, the hands coming to the heart. Landing here. Breathing here. Mountain pose. Remembering that at any point you might shift a little bit to stay comfy through the sits bones. You might give the legs a little wiggle. Good. And with your hands together at the heart center, just as best as you can connect your palms and the pads of your fingers, we'll find our comfortable Anjali Mudra. And then on an inhale, can you start to lift your hands up a little bit? Doesn't have to be a lot. And we guide the elbows toward each other. As you exhale, the hands lower, elbows open, feeling a stretch in the inside edge of wrists and forearms. Inhale, they float up, heels of the palms together, maybe elbows come toward each other, exhaling down. Good, and this next time that you inhale and your arms are reaching upward, can you also stretch them forward, your fingertips reaching forward? We'll exhale, lead with the heels of the palms, drawing the hands toward the heart. So we breathe in, we're reaching up and forward. Breathing out, lead with the heels of the palms, almost like a fish swimming backwards. Let's do that once more. Good, so we come here with the hands at the heart. One more little stretch, and just know that you can relax your hands down at any point, your arms, whenever you need. Let's start to draw clockwise circles with the hands. So we're drawing the hands around and around. You might follow the hands with the eyes. That can feel like a little bit of a stretch for the eyes and their sockets. Maybe you imagine you're tracing the shape of the sun or the moon, the earth. And just the next time that you bring your hands by the heart center, let's press gently into the left hand as we look toward the right. So we're sitting nice and tall, just turning the head gently toward the right. And keeping the hands where they are, let's look toward the left now. And as you look toward the left, can you twist gently? A gentle rotation of the spine. So you might be looking toward your left shoulder, maybe over left shoulder. Beautiful. We'll come back to center and let's draw those circles, but in the opposite direction. So we went clockwise before, let's go counterclockwise this time. Or just doing the opposite to what you've done. And the hands floating around, and again, this movement can be very subtle. Maybe it's just a gentle movement. We can notice sensation in the shoulders. Notice sensation in the hands, the wrists, maybe the eyes. If you're following the hands along without moving the head, just moving the gaze. Staying with your breath. And the next time the hands float by the heart, we'll press into the right hand. Shoulders drawing down and back. We take a little peek over the left side. Taking a breath in and a full breath out. And then we'll press into the right hand, turning toward the right. You can look that way. Just a gentle spinal rotation. Wonderful. Let's come back to center. Good. You can release your hands down. And again, you might shake your hands out. Maybe you do a little bit of flicking, or you can find some wrist circles. And you might do this with your hands open. Notice how that feels. Or the hands closed. In a fist, going either way. Beautiful. And we're going to shift our attention now to the low back, hips, and legs, even into the feet. So let's tend to the low body now. And we'll start by just waking up the low body gently. Just letting the legs wake up slowly. So you might give them a little massage. You can lean into the legs a little bit, lean into the hands. So when we're giving ourselves a massage, we err on the side of more gentle, to promote calm and relaxation. You might massage around the backs. You can do a little bit of sweeping, like you're trying to get pet hair off of your pants. Or a little bit of tapping. So you might tap your legs down the outside and up the inside, just to stimulate circulation and the movement of energy, of prana, vital life force energy. In China, it's called Qi, Japan, Reiki. Good. So then we'll scooch toward the front of our chair. So you bring your sits bones toward the front of your chair, and let's just start to gently rock the knees from side to side. So when we're rocking the knees from side to side, you can feel a bit of movement around the hip joints. Wonderful. You might lift your heels, so we slowly build up the posture, but stay anywhere along the way that feels right for your body. Maybe you open your knees and your feet and move your legs like windshield wipers. So whatever's more comfortable, knees and feet together or apart, whatever works for your body. We'll start to circle the knees around, so you can lift your heels and lower your heels. Noticing your posture, your breath. Change the direction of your circles when you're ready. And then if your hips are feeling just really great today, you're feeling like you could invite a bit more of an exaggerated movement, maybe you lift your feet. You could find a little bit of a lift to rotate your hips around. One way and then the other. So it might even be asymmetrical. Maybe one hip feels like it could benefit from a bit of lifting, but the other maybe not. Good, so after that, we're going to stretch it out through the backs of the legs. So let's take a moment to reach our feet forward, just being sure that you feel supported on your chair. The feet stretching forward, the toes draw back. So you can feel the stretch underneath the feet and up the backs of the legs. If it feels like too much, maybe a bend in the knees would be beneficial. So we all will make sure that there's at least a little bend in the knees. We don't want to be locking the knees at all or hyperextending them. Good, so we have just the option here to take a little bit of a forward fold. So while your toes are drawing back, you might like to draw the heart forward. So we lead with the heart rather than the head. Maybe you bring your hands to your hips, find the little creases of the hips, where the body, the torso folds in the legs. So you can take a little hip hinge, leading with the heart, keeping the spine long. And then we can draw the shoulders down and back. And just noticing your breath. Allowing yourself to just find ease in the postures. We know that we're listening to the body. We're not doing anything that feels unsafe or uncomfortable. And so the breath remains smooth and steady. And we can relax into the pose. Good. And let's start to explore a seated downward facing dog. So while you're here, your toes still drawing backward, can you start to float your arms forward and upward a little bit? You can flex your hands. You might even be able to lift them a little bit higher. If the shoulders are feeling happy with arms up above the head, you could find the arms could stretch up like an extension of your spine. So just an option. They could be anywhere along this path. In your seated downward facing dog, what's most important is that we have the navel drawing inward gently as you're activating the core. So all around the waist, feeling like you're drawing your muscles toward the midline of the body. Good. So from your seated downward facing dog, let's shift into a seated plank. So the arms can come forward and we'll sit up tall. The toes still drawing back, so we're still stretching through the backs of the legs. Taking a breath in. Good, let's take a full breath out. One more deep breath in, and then we'll flow into our seated chaturanga. As you exhale, let's bring the hands in front of the shoulders. The elbows drawing in. So hands in front of the shoulders. You can spread your fingers out wide. And then breathing in, can you guide your heart forward and upward? Let it shine between the hands. You might lift the chin a little bit away from the chest, but we're not craning the neck. Stay with your breath. And as you exhale, can you find your way back into your seated downward facing dog? Arms reaching maybe upward or forward, the hands stretching out through the heels of the palms, heart drawing toward the toes, toes drawing toward the heart. Now let's move with the breath through that flow. So we'll inhale into our seated plank. Arms forward, nice and tall. Exhale, hands coming in front of shoulders. Inhale, heart shining forward. This is like a seated cobra pose, gentle back bend. Exhale, downward dog. So you're moving from your hips. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga, so the hands coming toward the shoulders. Inhale, like a cobra pose. Let's do that once more with your breath. Good, and then you can exhale to bring the hands to the heart. Take a pause. Finding your way back to seated mountain. Ankles coming underneath the knees. And you might just ask your body, what kind of counter stretch would you benefit from after that? What do you need in this moment? What do my legs need? What does my low back need? What do my hands need? Any kind of area that might need a little bit of a counter stretch, and then allowing yourself to just move freely. So you might like to roll your ankles one way and the other. You might like to shake your legs out. Good. You can find a little bit of movement through the hands, shoulders. Wonderful. And then when you're ready, we have the option to move through a few standing postures together. So these postures can be modified from seated. You might stay in your chair, or you could come around behind your chair for just a couple of standing asanas. So I'm just going to turn my chair here so you can have a better view, but yours can stay facing forward. And as you come to standing, you might like to shift a little bit, just to keep loosening up. So you can shake your legs, you can walk it out on the spot, sort of massaging your feet on the floor as well. You might even march and stomp a little bit. That can be a good way to stimulate circulation. So remember that your chair is here to help you to maintain your balance when we're standing. So at any point, you can come back to touch the chair for extra support. You might just keep your hands on your chair for safety. Good. Now let's start to draw the feet a little bit wider apart. So to your own degree, maybe they're about the width of the chair apart, maybe just a little bit wider than hip width distance. And then we'll turn the toes outward here. So a little bit of an angle to the feet. Let's start to bend one knee and then bend the other knee. So from side to side, if you feel steady on your feet and you have a focal point in your line of sight, then you may try taking your hands away from your chair. So you could hover them. So the hips are getting a little bit lower. Knees are both bent now. You might have your hands palm to palm at the heart, but it's just an option. Good, and we start to settle into this sort of wide-legged, high squat posture. When you're ready, you can either keep flowing, of course that's an option, movement might feel better while you're here. If you wish, you could land in stillness. So you could be pausing here, both knees bent, opening outward. You might imagine you're pushing your thighs into a phantom hand here to feel a stretch in the inner thighs and hips. Tailbone is lengthening downward. And we're nice and tall through the spine. So the shoulders over the hips. You might have hands down on the chair. Maybe they come to the heart. If it's available, you could find cactus arms. So the arms might open like the limbs of a cactus. So from seated, if you're seated in your chair, you could have your bum on your chair, knees open a little bit wider apart, and we would have the ankles under the knees from seated. Knees and toes tracking in the same direction. Good, now let's lengthen out through the legs from standing. We'll bring the hands back to the heart or to the chair. And then from here, we'll just heel toe the feet in toward each other. And you can walk it out again. Wonderful. Now let's try from our mountain pose, standing mountain pose, Tadasana, feeling the feet feeling the ground beneath the feet. And draw the weight into the left side foot. Step the right foot back a little bit. So the ball of the foot comes down and we share the weight evenly between both of our feet. Left knee bending. The right leg is lengthening out as you're nice and tall through the spine. Tailbone reaching down, crown of the head lifting. So as you gaze at a focal point here, you might feel steady with your balance. You could touch the chair maybe a little bit more lightly. So just an option. You might hover the hands above the chair. So challenging the balance as we strengthen here. You could tap the hands away from the chair. Maybe even bringing the hands to the heart. So staying anywhere along the way. Good, and then very slowly with lots of steadiness and awareness of the feet rooting down to the floor, we're going to deliberately take right foot forward, back toward the chair. And you can invite a little pause into your practice, a little moment to feel the effect. Comparing one side to the other, you might just notice if one side feels warmer, one side of the body, maybe one side of the body feels a bit more spacious and open. And then we'll try that on the opposite side. So you can keep your chair how it is. I'm just going to move mine over for a little bit of a better view. Good. So from mountain, from that steady foundational posture, Tadasana, and draw the weight into the right foot, feeling into the right foot, touching down, rooting down, and then we can step back with the left, tucking the toes, sharing the weight evenly between your feet, right knee bending. And then as you land here, once you feel settled through the low body, then we can start to explore options that feel safe for the balance on this side. So you may stay here, hands down on the chair. Perhaps they start to hover, relaxing their grip. They might tap. Hands might even come to the heart. Let's take 2 more breaths here, but of course remembering that you can come out of any pose, anytime you need. One more full breath. And we can bring the hands down toward the chair. You might try coming out of the pose without using the chair, if that feels safe today. So we can press down through the right foot to lengthen the leg and draw left foot back. Good, and you can walk it out a little bit. You might even bring your hands to your chair, walk your feet back, wagging your tail a little bit so the hips can go from side to side, and then walking your feet forward. Wonderful. Coming to Tadasana once again. Coming back to the breath. And start to deliberately draw the weight back toward the heels. And then shifting the weight forward toward the ball of the foot. So you might have your hands on your chair, maybe at your sides. Subtle, gentle movement to begin. And this might be what you prefer to explore today. Subtle, gentle shifting of the weight going toward balls of the feet, toward the heels. You may start to invite a bit of a lift. So as you bring the weight toward the front of the foot, the heels might lift up a little. And then lowering the heels down, weight drawing back, you may lift your toes and spread them out. Coming forward, heels may lift. Rocking back, toes may lift. Good. The next time that you draw the weight forward, can you lift your heels upward, maybe holding your chair, or your arms might sweep out and up. So you could even imagine that you're being pulled by a tether on your fingertips or the crown of the head, lifting you up. Exhale to lower the heels down slowly. The arms can float down. Breathing in, heels lifting. Your arms might stretch out and upward, or you could keep your hands down on the chair. Exhale to lower. Good. One more time. You might find that posture. Extended mountain pose, Utthita Tadasana, and you might pause here, holding, breathing. Wonderful. Let's exhale to release slowly with control. Lovely. And then after that, you can draw your weight into one leg, shake out the opposite leg. Rooting down through that foot, shaking out the other leg. Beautiful. You can roll your ankle by lifting the heel and twirling the ankle around and around. And going both ways. And let's try that on the other side. Lovely. So now we're going to make our way back to our chairs for final relaxation. So at this point, you might like to grab a sweater or something to make sure that you'll be warm enough, and you might even like to grab a pillow that you could put behind you. This posture is all about relaxing and becoming effortless, so if you need to grab some extra little comfort measures, you can reach for those in your space. And then when you feel ready, you can lean back into your chair or wherever you rest in your home. The legs can reach forward. Shoulders drawing down and backward. The hands may rest on the body. Maybe the arms are heavy at your sides. So whatever position feels the most calming, the most effortless. Take any remaining little wiggles. So for me, I like to smooth out through the low back a little bit, just to feel that there's no sensation of compression at all. So a little pelvic tilt, the tailbone reaching toward the knees. It might feel like the tailbone scooping toward the knees a little bit. And then even again, I'll stretch my legs out a little further. taking all the time you need to get comfortable here. Sensing the support of the chair beneath you, the chair and the ground below. Can you invite your body to be heavy, to relax down into this support? Abandoning as much of the weight of the body as possible. You might feel the front of the body relaxing down toward the back of the body. Back of the body, softening into your support a little more. But know that we all relax at our own pace. Just moment to moment, breath to breath, even inhale to exhale, relaxing a little more deeply at your very own pace. Letting the breath be natural, easeful, and organic. It's knowing that there's nothing to change here. There's nothing to do or make happen. Can you allow yourself to just breathe and be and rest? Continuing to release your effort. Giving your entire self, your body, your mind, your awareness, permission to relax. Just basking in the afterglow of your practice, integrating, receiving all of the benefit. Resting in this state of yoga now. surrendering to gravity. Deeply relaxed. Begin to gently guide your attention back to your breathing. Just following the natural flow of these waves of breath. Feeling anchored in the present moment by each breath in and out. Each breath guiding you to center, feeling grounded here. When you're ready, take a deep breath in and a full breath out. Breathing in through the nose, out of the mouth. Once more. You might sigh it out. And returning to the natural rhythm of your breath. Staying present with the breath as you start to awaken the body with a little bit of movement, gentle, subtle movement that grows just at your own pace. Maybe you wiggle your fingers and your toes. You might roll your wrists, your ankles. Perhaps you take a big stretch out and you can yawn and sigh. And to close this practice, you can make your way to a nice tall seat. And bringing the hands palm to palm at the heart center. The light within me bows to and honors the light that shines within each of you. Namaste. Just fluttering open through the eyes when you're ready. Thank you very much for joining me for this practice today. Please let me know if you have any questions at all about this practice. I'll attach some contact information to this video. And thank you so much. Have a great day.